So the next thing I want to do, now that I have my template ready to go, I have my sketch ready to go, I have my plan, I have my goal, and I'm ready to get started. I set this aside for a minute because I need the foot and the base. All coil pots pretty much start off the exact same way with a slab of clay. And I just grabbed a hunk of clay. This is a little more than I grabbed in class, mainly because my base is a little bit larger than my other two pots. I can kind of start to smush this out. Now if you have a rolling pin at home, awesome, use it. That's going to help you. I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to use my hand, exactly what pretty much you guys all have. In class we have a slab roller that you can easily roll a slab out with, but I have it started, mini slab here, it's still really chunky, and I'm actually going to roll up my sleeve a little bit, and I'm just going to use the palm of my hand here to pound out my slab. I'm going to try and avoid using these parts of my hands because they'll create little divots into the clay that I don't want. Same thing with these here. It just kind of creates little imperfections where my hand has like raised areas. So I'm just going to try and use the palm of my hand, and I'm going to start on one side and push it out the other side. Sorry, it's going to get loud here for a second. I'm going to turn it so I can push it this way. Flip it over, turn it again. And I don't need a super huge slab. I'm going to try and turn it again. I'm looking though for about a 1/4 inch thickness. I think this is a little bit thick right now. Flip it again. That's really pretty good. Looking for that 1/4 inch, and again, you don't have to have your ruler here every single time, but you really don't, similar to the walls of your pinch pots, like you don't want it to be really thick. Like a 1/2 inch is too thick. Less than a 1/4 inch is too thin, so I'm going to try and stick to that. You can also clean up your slab here, smoothing it over with my rib tool. Same thing, I'll flip it, smooth it out too a little bit on this side. And I am actually going to freehand my thing turned just a little bit on me as I was pounding that out. I'm going to freehand my base here, and I'm going to kind of draw an oval. This one I started from a little bit of an oval, whereas this one was a circle. You're probably going to have either one of those to kind of start. But I'm going to kind of draw out an oval here just with my pencil. Because I have that size requirement of that 8.5 inches, and again, it doesn't matter about all these lines here. I can clean that up. Just want to make sure I'm happy. This is sitting at about 4.5 inches. You really don't want to go bigger than that. And then here is about 3.5 inches. I don't really want to go bigger than that for those 8.5 inch height. You also don't want to go super small. Like the size of your baby food jar is about 2 inches, and I think that's too small. 2.5 to 3 inches minimum to about 4.5 maximum for that base. And when I'm happy with it, I can cut it. I'm going to use the pointed edge or the sharper edge. This is a curved edge, so it's going to use that sharper edge. I'm going to stick it in to my line here and cut pretty slowly. I like to turn my canvas mat with my form and then I pull off my extra clay. This clay I'm going to use to make my very first coil, but we're going to work on craftsmanship the entire way up. Craftsmanship is just refining and cleaning. So I'm always going to be working on the walls of my pot and the surface of my vessel. So always cleaning it up. You can kind of clean up the sides of this little guy. I also want to actually fold my canvas mat one more time. I always see the perfect form or shape cut out of there. This will work as my makeshift banding wheel, something that I can easily turn my shape on, and or once I started building up my form is 3 dimensions, shape is 2 dimensions, but something I can easily turn that on as I'm building up. So I'm going to start my coil, and this was just from the extra clay that I pulled off of here. Start my coil in my hand. Just got it started here. I'm actually going to stand to roll it out. It's not a fast process, and I know I'm going to make it look easy. I start in the center, and I really rock it back and forth as I move outward. So that was my second pass. Here is my third. I want to make sure my stuff are not in the way. Again, fourth. If you really try to race it and rush it, it's going to give you problems. And if you see a thicker area, let's roll that out a little bit more. I think that's pretty good. Just as a reminder, you don't want your, I'm just going to pull up a little bit of clay here. You don't want your coil to be really thick. Like this is way too thick, and you don't want it to be really, really thin. So for instance, which I've seen both, super duper thick coils and super duper thin coils. This will give you a headache. This is also will create a paperweight rather than a jug. So you want to be somewhere in the middle there, about 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. Then I will score my base here. And I know that my clay is really soft, but this is a great habit to get into. Just score and slip each and every time. Score the area, slip the area. And I do, like, my coil is flat in one area. Yours might have done that. It should be okay. Now I'm going to pay attention to my template here and to the form. I'm going pretty much straight up, so my coil is going to lay right on top of here. If you are going in, your coil is going to sit inward, and if you're going out, your coil is going to sit outward. So for instance, this would be a coil to move outward on my vessel. This would be a coil to move inward on my vessel. So just your placement of your coil is different each time. This is a coil to go just straight up. It sits right on there. I'm just gonna stick it on there first. And overlap. Now I'll hold it up here for you guys. And I'm actually going to cut right to that base. It's kind of hard to cut and also show you guys. This gets pulled off, as well as my little start of the coil. And it fits nice and even in there. And I have to smooth out my coil. So I'm just going to take my index finger or my middle finger here and kind of push the coils in to the base here. All the way in, working on our craftsmanship all the way up, so I'm cleaning up the inside here. And then I'm going to work my way to the outside and also smooth out my coil. So each time it's pretty much the same process. And rolling out coils is going to be a pain in the butt at first, until you get a feel for how much pressure to add and how to work it. So I'm just making my way around here. I'm going to use my rib tool here also and smooth it on out. And then I'm also, again, you want to spend your time to clean up all areas of your work. Do it now, not later. The side's still a little bit funky, but it's not crazy, and I'm going to compare. So I'm going to hold it up to my form and see how I'm doing. Am I going in the right direction? Am I way off? And this looks really pretty good, but usually straight up coils work out pretty nicely. So that I'm ready for my next coil.